Here with reaction, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, thanks for being with us. Now, I am not a Harvard Law School graduate like you are, but I think there is a great distinction between I never spoke to my son about his foreign business dealings, and now that we have all the evidence available to prove to the contrary that, in fact, he did, now they've changed it to, well, he never went into business with his son. I would say that is a huge difference, and not even you couldn't even describe it as parsing words here.
Yeah. Look, I got to say, Sean, I want to play poker with Karine Jean-Pierre because she is a terrible, terrible liar. And she's got to tell, you know, sometimes at a poker table, someone will twist a ring or they'll pull their ear or they'll do something when they're bluffing. Karine Jean-Pierre, her tell is she'll tell you, I'm going to tell you the exact same thing I've told you 1,000 times before. You know the next words out of her mouth are going to be totally different from anything she's ever said before.
You know,
so,
yeah. Let me get your reaction to what happened in court today. And I don't know if you share my suspicion. There's no way in my mind that the prosecutor and the defense did not have a firm agreement that there would be no future charges. And I think the judge called them out, and then they knew that they couldn't admit it publicly. That's what I think. Do you agree with that suspicion? And
so I do. I think they had a deal. This was a sweetheart deal. This was designed to give Hunter Biden a slap on the wrist, let him get away with 0 jail time. And its most important function was to cover up for the big guy, to cover up from Joe Biden, to say all these matters are done, it's all closed, it's over. I think if this plea hearing had been the day after the plea deal was announced, I think they would have stuck to their guns, and it might well have been approved. But what happened is several weeks passed, and in the several weeks passed, more and more evidence came out. The FD 1023 from the FBI came out. The 2 IRS whistleblowers testified before the House of Representatives, accusing the Attorney General Merrick Garland of lying under oath, accusing the Attorney General of obstruction of justice in this case. And suddenly, the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office in the court realized they couldn't stand up in court and say, oh, no, we're not going to investigate any of this new evidence that's all come roaring out. That became impossible to say. So they said, well, yeah, of course we're going to investigate that. And suddenly Hunter's lawyers said, we're out of here, and the whole thing blew up. I'm glad it blew up. This deal stunk from day one, and it was about covering up Hunter and, more importantly, covering up Joe Biden's involvement in the corruption.
Senator, based on what we know now, we have Joe Biden on tape admitting that he leveraged $1 billion taxpayer dollars to get a prosecutor in Ukraine fired. The prosecutor had been investigating Burisma that was paying his son Hunter a massive amount of money, even though the son went on Good Morning America, admitted he had no experience at all. Based on what we read with the WhatsApp messages, I'm sitting here with my father, and then, well, lo and behold, a Chinese oil exec sends over $5 million to the Bidens within a week. How would you describe it? I would say this is the Biden bribery scandal allegations. And if you're a prosecuting attorney, how strong a case are you looking at by what we know right now?
So we have now the FD 1023. I have it in my hand. It's the FBI report that was prepared in 2020 when a confidential human source raised allegations that Joe Biden, as vice president, personally received bribes, $5 million personally himself, his son $5 million, from a Ukrainian oligarch in exchange for official favors when he was vice president of the United States. This FD 1023 is damning. I do a podcast 3 days a week, Verdict with Ted Cruz. The podcast has gone into the details of what's in this FD 1023, walking through it, the specifics where, among other things, you know, some of the quotes from it. So the confidential human source told Zlochevsky that due to Shokin is the Ukrainian prosecutor's investigation into Burisma, that it would have a substantial negative effect on Burisma's prospective IPO in the United States. And Zlochevsky, the Ukrainian oligarch, replied something to the effect of, don't worry, Hunter will take care of all of those issues through his dad. Zlochevsky also allegedly said it cost $5 million to pay one Biden and $5 million to pay another Biden. Zlochevsky further allegedly said Hunter Biden, quote, was stupid, and Zlochevsky's dog was smarter. This is in the FBI forum. The confidential human source asked, did Hunter Biden or did Joe Biden tell Zlochevsky he needed to retain Hunter Biden? And Zlochevsky replied, they both did. And Zlochevsky says he has many text messages and recordings that could show he was forced to make such payments. He said he has 17 audio recordings of his conversations with the Bidens, 15 with Hunter, 2 with Joe. This stuff is damning stuff. If this is true, Joe Biden should be impeached, and impeached not for high crimes and misdemeanors, but for bribery, which is explicitly enumerated in the Constitution. He should be removed from office. He should be prosecuted, and he should go to jail for taking millions of dollars of bribes, if this is true.
Well, all evidence is showing, for following the money, they got the $5 million after the WhatsApp message. And certainly after Joe leveraged our money in Ukraine and got the prosecutor fired, zero experience Hunter got paid an obscene amount of money, and that continued. Anyway, Senator Cruz, great to see you. Thank you for being with us, sir.